took the carburetor apart. Today we're going to spray it out and we'll clean it up and put it all back together. Aha, new power valve. Many other gaskets. A big gasket for our air horn. Make sure on both sides you have all the same holes. We do. We've got the correct air horn gasket. That is awesome. What else do we have in here? I have a fuel inlet screen, but it looks different than my fuel inlet screen. Didn't come with any instructions. Bad on Walker. Okay, well, whatever. So, just time to blow out some passages. That is for one jet. That is clear. That's for the second jet. That is clear. Air bleed. You can see it squirting right down in there. And then this is easy needle and seat. Comes out at the fuel inlet. Can't miss it. We're going to spray this bowl out and then we'll do the accelerator pump passage. It doesn't make sense to do it the other way around. Now, accelerator pump, that hole in the bottom, you can see, comes out there. This is where the check ball goes and that little aluminum rod. So you push the accelerator pump and you get fuel. Pretty simple. So this is some sort of fuel bleed. That little vacuumy Y valve on the front. Yeah, definitely it attaches to fuel. It appears it goes to the accelerator pump. Let's see. This hole. Yeah. Okay. It is some sort of vacuum assist for that accelerator pump. Either way, it's there. It's going to go back on there. So that passage is clear. That's really all we care about. Let me spray this out because this somehow has something to do with something. So we better make sure it's clean. I wonder where that passage goes. Let's find out. Okay. So this one has two passages. Has something to do with the Venturis because it's somehow connected to the air bleeds to here. So this solenoid thingy goes there. I don't know. It does something, and the passage is clear. So we've got everything as clean as we can possibly get it here. We'll start reassembling. And again, set everything in order that you did it. My rag's not long enough, so this actually makes a U-turn and comes back this way. So I'm going to start down here. Idle mixture screws. This specific engine, which is a 2.8 V6, I think you're going to want to start right around 2 turns. As you can see, that needle coming out right there. So that is fully seated, which means no fuel is getting passed, which means nothing will get out that barrel, no matter how much air you put past it. So you come back out 2 turns. So 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2. And that's a good starting point. Now we'll do the other one. You want to try to get them out the same amount. So if you make an 1/8 of a turn on one, you want to make an 1/8 of a turn on another. Watch right here. You'll see the end of this needle come out right there. Go until seated. You don't need to go real hard, just until it stops. And back it off. 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2. Gasket. There we go. Goes on that way. So we'll set that there. Make sure to put the gasket on your power valve. And make sure you start threading it by hand. There we go. You don't want to, it's aluminum. You don't want to strip it out, but you definitely want to snug up and seat that gasket. There we go. And get them all started before you snug any of them up. Again, start it by hand, then the screwdriver. That way you don't cross-thread anything. It is aluminum. It would strip out very easily. What I like to do, some of you may not, once you've used the new parts, put the old ones over there. That way you don't think you've left parts out. Put this solenoid-y thingy back on. Now we are moving on. Got fresh vacuum line and the 2 screws for this dash pod. Why is it called a dash pod? I don't know. As you can see, 1, 2, 3 screws. They're back on. It is connected here to the dash pod, which pulls on the choke lever. And we're going to do vacuumy thingy. Nothing comes out the vacuum or the top side of this, so this valve is good on the inside. There we go. So that one goes in the center hole here, like that. Pull it all the way through until it clicks. You'll see definitely seated, and then you want to snip off the extra. That way you're not going to hit the float. Just like that. As you can see, there's several little slots here, little keywayed slots. This one was in the top one. That's where it's going back. There we go. Okay. This is aluminum. This gets warped, or can get warped. And there's an easy way to tell. Ah, there we go. This will work. Basically, what you want to do is, if you think it's warped, take it with some sandpaper, and you will quickly see if it's warped. You'll see spots that you're not cleaning off. This is cleaning off very evenly, so it is not warped. So I'm going to leave it alone. If you find that it is warped, get a file, not necessarily sandpaper, but a big flat file, and just work it back and forth until that is just as clean as everything else. You're just knocking it down so it's flushing in. You don't want to do too much because this is thin aluminum. You don't want to weaken it, but you can do it at least once on these carburetors without damaging it. Make sure your spring is not on this valve. You have to make sure it seats. You can see this. That spring seats there and doesn't affect that valve. There you go, center it in there. Then on that, and then there. And I'm doing like 1/8 of a turn, and it gets pretty firm at that point, and you just leave it alone. Put our Venturis back in. Check ball. Ours did come with a new one, so we'll put it in. Boop, right there. Okay, everything's seated there. I now see something that I should have seen before. What I'm seeing is the fuel screen that I didn't know what to do with earlier is actually in here. There you go. That's why that had no bottom, because it goes in here and screens it sideways so you don't clog these up. Okay, gotcha. Push that down. It should go down just with thumb pressure. Just put that inside there, put the gasket on here, then drop that down. Good. Well, you know, for any of you OCD people out there, that slot lines up with that on this particular one. You'd be very thrilled. We're gonna spray out the jets, make sure that they are clear. That is good enough. Nice and clear. Okay. On your needle, this tiny little clip goes on top, and then this hangs off your float so that it doesn't come off of the float. And there appears to be 2 different sizes of these, or are they the same? They are different. And there's this one. Your needle slips right over top like that and just hangs off of there. It's clear. That goes back on our anti-slosh gaskety thingy here. And the interesting thing about this one is that it had a hex head seat before. This one is going to take a slotted screwdriver. It is completely circular. There's no other way to put it on there, which not a big fan of the different kinds, but whatever. Okay, seat is on. Needle goes here. This spring, this is the little retaining, or sort of retaining spring for float. It's an assist, so it helps the float come back up. And you want to make sure that that actually is here against the wall of the float bowl here. So push that down. Make sure your needle goes in, and get your everything lined up. That is probably the most fiddliest bit. Spring clip goes around the seat there. It is 3/32. I think it's up a little high. There we go. That's down just a hair. And if you can see, here's the needle. You can see needle's open, fuel comes in, needle's closed. That's the simple system. It's basically a toilet. This is the arm that comes up for a choke lever. And I completely forgot to hook that up. That goes to there. And good thing is there's a clip on each end, so I can take it off. Here's the tiny little E-clip that came on that. So now I can take it off, put it on where it's supposed to go, and feed it back down. Oh, man. One of those days, huh? And my E-clip. Everybody's sitting there pointing at where it is, and I can't find it. There it is. Needle nose pliers. Get my head out of the way. There we go. Back on the top. E-clip on the bottom. I don't know if you can sort of see. This one goes here, and that's where I had the arm twisted the wrong way, and I had to take all this apart. That's what did this in the first place. And slowly squeeze it. There we go. You'll feel it click, and this little indent in the center will have to be in the slot. Otherwise, it's not on there all the way. Okay. Now, I can put this heat shield back on for the TPS connector. If that goes there, then I've got a choke rod that goes here that I have misplaced somewhere. There it is. I didn't misplace. I put it there on purpose. So that goes there. Ta-da, there is no clip for that. So this is the air horn gasket. As you can see, everything lines up on it. This right here, this curve, meets this curve in the body of the carburetor. And pa-pow. Coffee break. Now everything is slightly less Mondayed. Got that mostly cleaned off. Not terrible. And it just wants to stay there, and that's fine with me. So, yeah, we've got to clean that air bleed out real quick. So right here, got a couple vents that go to here. There you go. That is clean. And make sure that you feed this choke link through there gently. And don't force this down. Cover down on here. It has to go down right the way it's supposed to. If it's sitting cattywampus or cockeyed, depending on which direction, then you got something caught, and just get down to eye level with it and look and find out which problem is. This is now sitting flush, so we're good. Choke link. It appears that we were wearing on number 2, so that's where we're going to put it back. That'll be the very last thing we do. Now start threading these screws on by hand. This one goes here. And the tag actually does go this way. In the original video, I had it this way so you could read it because it was upside down. Now it's right side up, or vice versa. Flip that, reverse it. Please don't over tighten these. You will strip them and ruin your carburetor, and I can't help you at that point. If you want to do a star pattern on this, it's probably a good idea, sort of like lug nuts or cylinder heads or anything else that you need to torque down. You should probably do, just kind of go apart from each other. If you go around this way, if something's caught, you'll definitely just warp the crap out of this. But by doing a star pattern, everything goes down flush. And makes for a much easier fit, and you can definitely tell if you've messed something up or not. Go down, double check them. Again, I'm rolling it with my fingers. That's as snug as it needs to be. There we go. And the last screw is the one that goes onto this choke. There we go. But it should be slightly open. So that seems correct. And you want to make sure that it's actually pushed all the way onto this lever. It is a sort of rectangular slot on the end that this has to fit onto so it lines up. You can't just throw this on. And that way it holds it slightly open. If you did it wrong, this would be all the way shut and no bueno. So that is it. Fresh here. I will have the 2 base gaskets that will go on. That was useless without directions. Fuel inlet, again, I am reusing this filter. Don't want to overdo this either. That is good enough. Okay, so the carburetor's back together. Hopefully that did it. Not the world's best carburetor rebuild. Not the worst. Maybe with a couple of missteps that now you won't make. And that's it. I'm going to go put it on the truck. That's all for now.